So now let's introduce Marie-Laure Fontaine. She is going to present us a project about high temperature steam electrolysis. And Marie-Laure Fontaine is a research manager at Sustainable Energy Technology Department at SINTEF. The floor is yours, Marie-Laure.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you see my slide?
Perfect.
Very good. So thank you very much to giving me the opportunity to present the project Gamer. And so I wanted to let you see a little bit the team, which is represented in these pictures. So the project Gamer is called a Game Changer in High Temperature Steam Electrolyzer, and it has 7 partners, which are listed here. SINTEF is a coordinator. We have also Carbon Recycling International joining as their interest for integrating electrolysis technology in their plant. CSIC ITQ, which is developing electrodes material in this project. Coursетech Membrane Science, which is a company developing proton ceramic system. University of Oslo, who are developing new material for this proton ceramic cell. MC2 Ingeniera is in SEMAS. It's also a company which is involved in the chemical engineering of the plants, and Shell for integration of the technology also in their plants. We also have 2 industrial advisors, Yara, because they are interested for green hydrogen production for ammonia synthesis, and Air Liquide. The project has started in January 2018, and we are in a final phase of this project. It will finish by end of this year. And it's a project which falls under the fuel cell and hydrogen joint undertaking. So the goal of this project is to demonstrate a novel concept of electrolyzer technology. So it's a steam electrolysis high temperature process, but it's not based on solid oxide ion. It's based on proton ceramic electrolyzer. So you have here a schematic of the process. So we are doing water splitting at high temperature between 400 to 700 Celsius degrees. But instead of extracting oxygen ions, we are extracting protons from the cell, which enable us to have dry hydrogen on the electrode side. So for this project, the goal is to demonstrate the feasibility of this technology at a 10 kilowatt scale to produce pressurized hydrogen at 30 bar. An important aspect of this project is, of course, this novel electrolyzer concept. Also, as pointed out earlier, developing a mass manufacturing for this cell so that we can ensure some scalability. And we have also a specific focus on thermal integration of this technology. And the aim is to couple renewable waste, or waste heat source with steam and renewable electricity with these plants. And we are envisioning this in several configurations based on our consortium. So in a methanol plant with CRI, with refineries, with Shell, and with ammonia plants with our partner, advisory board partner, Yara. So the methodology that we are applying in this project is spanning from TRL3 to TRL5s, and it's listed here. So we are focusing on optimizing materials and also the cell design that include also the key enabling technology, the sealant and the manifold. We are also focusing on volume scale production of the cell for the scaling up. We have designed, engineered, and we are in a phase of testing our system. And we are also complementing techno-economic and LCA analysis associated with the different plant configuration that I have shown you earlier to evaluate the potential of this technology in various integration scenarios. I focus this presentation highlighting how materials research on this project was very important because of the Emery topic today. So let's first start by having a look at the configuration of our cells. So you have here on the left side scanning electron microscopy picture showing you a basic configuration of our cells. So we have a multi-layer system consisting of inorganic material. So you have here the CERMET electrode, which is a tubular support based on a composite made of nickel and a proton ceramic conductor. You have here our dense ceramic electrolyte, which is a proton conductor. Here it's a top electrode, which will do the water splitting. It's also a composite made of the electrolyte material and perovskite. And we used as current collector in the simplest configuration some metals, such as, for instance, silver, platinum, or gold. An important material aspect in this project is that, as you can see in this schematic representation of the cells, so you have here the bottom electrode, the electrolyte, and the steam electrolysis. We wanted to emphasize that the reaction in these cells, they are utilizing many charge carriers, so electrons, protons, but also proton holes, for instance. So the reactions are complex. And there is a need for an in-depth understanding of material properties, but also how interfaces are evolving and are performing to maximize the performance of the cell, but also to optimize the Faraday efficiency, which in our case represent how much electrons are converted into protons in these cells. So material aspect has been an important part of the research in this work, in particular considering that we will operate this cell in very high pressure and there is very limited model or experimental research carried out with this system at such a high pressure when utilizing steam at also high temperature. So let's move a little further on what we have achieved when it comes to the production and scaling up of this technology. So we have implemented a pilot scale production in a clean room together with our industrial partner, Coursec. So you have here an illustration of the various steps of production for producing our single engineering unit. So we worked with a tubular configuration, as I mentioned earlier. So the process are using very simple and scalable manufacturing route based on the extrusion, spray coating, and deep coating for assembling the various layers. And we are also utilizing raw materials to produce our cells. So we are not using already crystalline oxides. We are using raw materials for the starting point. And we are forming our oxide, the functional material, upon the consolidation and the co-firing procedure that enable us to reduce cost of production of these cells. So the reason why we are using a tubular geometry versus a planar geometry, it's because we want to work at high pressure, and this configuration enables us to have a better mechanical stability also in transient operation when working at such a high pressure. To bridge our material research with the scaling up activities in this project, we have utilized what we call a staircase approach. So we have started by working with smaller items, so smaller cells, working in the lab. And the idea was here to develop more knowledge on how the different layers and their interface were cooperating and degrading as a function of the operating conditions. And from there, we have progressively scaled up the active area of the cells, still also performing some optimization on the different interface, but this time with better understanding of what was happening. And from there, we move towards single cell engineering, which are the ones which are meant to be used into the 10 kilowatt system, which contain not only the cell, but also the key enabling technologies, the different sealants and gas current connections to be implemented into the 10 kilowatt. So for this study, as I told you, we have gone through an iteration of scaling ability of the material, but also on testing. So we started by optimizing the electrode and screening various current collector configuration, working at ambient pressure and 3 bar. We then moved, when we had a better understanding and robustness on reliability of the result, we moved towards the scaling up of the cells, still working at 3 bar to verify that we have achieved scalability by comparing performance. And from there, we moved towards the final design of our SCU and also increasing the testing conditions to impose more stringent operation and see how the cell was behaving. The cell and the SCU were behaving. So I'm going to show you quickly 2 results of this testing to highlight a little bit how the material have impacted on the performance, but also the scaling up. So here on this figure on the left side, we are comparing the cell potential as a function of the current density for the SCU, so the final piece, versus what we call the segment, so the smaller piece. So you can see here the cell potential and the Faradaic efficiency while operating these samples at 3 bar. So the interesting information here is that the cell here and the SCUs, they are delivering the same Faradaic efficiency, which is good. However, you can see that the SCU has a much higher cell voltage than the shorter cell, which is not good, which is not what we want. So when we did impedance spectroscopy measurements, we found out why. So here you have the ISR for the short cell, and you have the ISR for the SCUs. What you can see is that more or less the electrode performance for both samples are fairly similar. However, we have a huge increase of the ohmic contribution for the SCUs. This is due in part to the fact that when we do the SCU, we have integrated many more interfaces. So we have also to optimize some current collection there. And we did also have some parasitic resistance with the setup that we are utilizing when testing these SCUs. So overall, that gave us some input on where to focus our, where to further focus our studies in terms of material. And as you can see here, it was on current collection and interfaces. I'd like also to show another examples of how material is affected by the operating conditions. So here you have the same type of figure, cell potential as a function of the current density, this time for an SCU when we operated at 3 bar, 5 bar, and 10 bar. You have here the cell potential, here the Faradaic efficiency. The good news is that when we are increasing the pressure, the Faradaic efficiency is increasing, which is what we want. So that's the benefit of increasing the pressure. And to understand what is happening, we have also done impedance analysis, and you can see that both the ohmic resistance and the electrode contribution are actually improved by increasing the pressure. So when we compare this with the knowledge that we have generated on material, this is ascribed to both a better hydration properties of the material when we are increasing the pressure, with more protons getting into the proton conducting material, but also enhanced kinetics at the electrodes. From there, after optimizing or in a path of optimizing our SU, we are now increasing the production of the SU to go to our 10 kilowatt module demonstrator. So this is some schematic to show you how they look like. The SUs are integrated in what we call rack. A rack consists of 16 SUs mounted in series. And to get a 10 kilowatt, we will need 16 SCUs mounted in parallel. So we have designed and engineered this hotbox with all electrical and gas manifolds. And the plants, which contain all the balance of plant elements for the steam generation, the gas handling, the heat recovery. So you have here the PNID and also a schematic of how the plant looks like. It has been designed by a company in Germany. And these are some pictures to show you the current stage of the plant. It has been transferred in CSIC in Spain for testing. And we are currently proceeding to the site acceptance test. So I'd like to finalize this presentation by just pointing out towards a couple of information regarding knowledge gaps. We had quite a lot of knowledge gap when we started the project, and there are still some open one. And in particular for our specific operation, we were questioning the stability in operation at high pressure and high temperature for materials, but also for interfaces. We have seen already in the slide that I've shown you that they are impacting a lot on the performance, both the ISR, but also the Faraday efficiency. Both these criteria are very important for this technology. And where there is still an opening is how long-term degradation will happen. So this is still a question that we are working with long-term stability study. And we know that this will be impacted a lot by how we are going to operate the stack or the module, as we call it, whether we do a steady state of operation or cycling. So here we see an important need for us to focus a lot on optimizing the individual functional layers, so the electrodes and the electrolyte material, to further increase the performance of the module. But also, we would like also to emphasize that interfaces are key components actually in our system, and deeper understanding on how to engineer them and characterize them at all length scale is very important to maximize performance and durability. On that note, I'd like to thank you for your attention. I would like to thank all the co-workers, the colleagues who have contributed to this work, and FCH for their funding opportunities.
Thank you, Marie-Laure, for this presentation. Actually, I have a question that is related to your previous slide. Usually, when you increase the temperature, you have a specific degradation mechanism for materials, and here you also increase the pressure.
Yes.
So I guess the stability issue is very high here.
No. Well, actually, we have done some stability tests. So we remember that we are working between 400 to 600, actually, in our case. So we are in the lower temperature regime. So in our case, we have not seen the pressure has had a positive impact for us, as I showed you. The performance has been better because in our case, we are increasing hydration properties. We are forcing steam inside our material, which is the benefit. But also we are improving gas phase interaction. So kinetics have also been better.
Yeah, because my question, I see the relation, you got some nice results when you increase the pressure. But I know the degradation rate target for such electrolysis facility is 0.5% for 1,000 hours of operation. So are you going to make some stability or durability studies? I don't know, for 200 hours of operation or more to see what kind of.
We have already done 800-hour studies on the cell level, which were good. Our target for the project, you have also to set this in perspective. This is a very not immature. How do you call it? It is so. This is the first demonstration of this stage. So there has not been any stack technology or stack presented before in the field of proton ceramic electrolysis. It's mostly on button cells. So we are one of a kind or starting up. The target for this project is 1.2% loss per 1,000 hours. So it is higher than what is targeted for the more advanced technology, but it's fair when you consider that this is the beginning of this one. Within 800 hours, we have seen we are within the frame of this degradation rate, and this degradation in our case is mostly associated with evolution when it comes to current collection interface with our electrode. So it's more, it's not, I would not ascribe it completely to material deterioration, but we have a problem with keeping contacts because of this tubular technology.
And my last question is about, here you talk about the interfaces, electrolytes and electrode materials. What about the sealants?
Yes, so we are lucky so that we have a partner, Coursec Membrane Science. We have developed proprietary specific sealing technology. We use tubular configuration, so we have much less sealing interface than we would have in a planar. So it's just on the bottom of the part. In the colder area, we have not seen any issue yet with this sealing technology. And that has not been a showstopper here. Okay. Of course, we have to put ourselves in a perspective of 40,000 hours. I have no data on that by far, but at this very moment, this is not the showstopper.
Okay, Marie-Laure, thank you very much for your presentation, and please keep us updated by the result of your project, because I know there is not so much project on proton SOE electrolysis.
Thank you.
Thank you.